What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Mike Muse. Welcome to the episode of the Mike Muse Show. I am super excited to be in conversation with my guest. He is a returning guest on the Mike Muse Show. I don't know if you even remember, but the last time that RZA was on the Mike Muse Show, I was having some extreme technical difficulties. Riz, I don't know if you remember, but I was in the Martha's Vineyard and the Wi-Fi went out in the middle of the town hall with me, you, T.I.
Exactly. That was on Cutthroat City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. That wasn't that long ago, bro.
Yeah. I rushed her from the basement, ran right outside to the yard and just made my friend move over in the middle of her conference call. It was brilliant, man. Dude, welcome back, brother.
Thank you for inviting me back.
No, man, it's an honor to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, RZA is here. I mean, RZA can come anytime he wants, just FYI. Anytime he wants to just pull up on a brother, as they say on social media, he's more than welcome. But today he is here for Wu-Tang, the American Saga, Season 2 on Hulu. And audience, you know, man, I never push products. I never push things to push things. But RZA, man, I gotta honestly say, man, it was really great connecting with you through this season. And it's interesting when you were coming on, I was like, I don't know if I should call him Bobby or RZA right now because I'm getting to know you as Bobby. And then you come on the Zoom at the bottom, it says Bobby Diggs, man. So what should I call you? How should we begin?
Wow. Well, you know what, Mike? We're buddies, you know, and family call me Bobby, you know, so yeah. I don't mind that. You know, it's the funny thing is at a point in my life, you know, really right after Wu-Tang Clan started recording our albums and, you know, when, you know, as the character decides to be, you know, become RZA in real life, even when I actually I would fight if you would call me Bobby or Robert or anything, right? And it took a long time for me to look at the name my mother gave me and realize that it was an honorable name because we would call it, you know, that's your slave name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my mother explained to me why she named me, you know, the birth name Robert Fitzgerald Diggs, which is, listen, with a middle name like Fitzgerald, because ODB middle name was Russell Tyrone. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, he had swag, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you had the Fitzgerald.
Yeah, that was a tough one to swallow in the hood, right? But
yeah,
later on, my mother explained to me that she named me after the two Kennedy brothers, you know?
Wow.
Robert Kennedy and John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And she put them together, my father, and they gave me that name. And so it's an honorable name. And I say all that to say, yes, you can call me Bobby.
Well, Bobby, it's so good to meet you, man. There's so many layers in that with the Robert and Fitzgerald. I'm already thinking about the iconicness of this intersection of like politics and hip hop, that blend. I'm thinking about the iconic shot with Jay-Z and Nas when they were sitting in the same shot as the Kennedy brothers in the bed. And then the fact that your mother named you after that, it just goes to show like how I've always believed this, Bob. That's why I'm known as a guy who intersects politics and pop culture as social construct, because I believe politics and hip hop serve a symbiotic relationship, right? Like hip hop has always been a story of our people, right? And it's all about the one who was doing the storytelling is the one who moves the masses, right? No different than elected official, right? Like they move the masses and they help communicate a story.
I gotta totally agree with you on that. And it's more prevalent and relevant and revealed now in today's generation. You know, you look at an artist like Kanye West run for president.
Yeah.
No rock and roll guy didn't jump up there. And
yeah.
You know, it's a hip hop guy who feel like he has a voice to express, you know, his opinion of the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hip hop music has always been an outlet for that. And through time and luck and grace and, you know, some good executives, you know, and people, you know, giving us a shot. Here we are now where hip hop is actually a voice that's coming through a TV series, you know?
Yeah.
I thought about that the other day, you know, because I had a chance to watch the first 3 episodes with my father. So my father missed that part of my life because he had, you know, he left when I was maybe 3.5, you know, maybe a small connection at 13 and you know, and then that was that until adulthood. And so he missed a lot of it, right? But we sat there and watched it. And the thing that resonated was like, in the old days, if you wanted to see and watch a story of a family, it's a story like you watch Good Times or you know, something that was fictional. You know what I mean? Now we actually, through hip hop and like I said, through some luck, grace, and goodwill, we're able to now watch a story of a real family, an American family, and go through an American saga, you know what I mean, with people that actually existed and still exist. So I just think that is something magical about that. And going back to what you said, it, of course, there's a political undertone to that too, because you'll notice in season 1, we talked about David Dinkins being the mayor, and we actually had an episode where the characters went to Bensonhurst. Just to let people know that no, this is real. But anyway,
I'm glad you I'm glad you said that, and like you're bringing something into the conversation. I think it's really dope that I talk about a lot. I never talked about it in relation to hip hop, but I always get upset when they categorize like Black narratives in film as this is a Black movie, right? Or this is for like Black audience because it's ensemble led maybe by Black characters or Black actors. And I always use Bridesmaids versus Girls Trips as example to dispel that misnomer, right? I'm like, the Black story is the American story, right? Like I love Bridesmaids, and it's just a group of 4 white women having fun and cutting up at a bachelorette party or a journey to a bachelorette moment. It's no different than what you saw in Girls Trip, or like 4 Black women cutting up in New Orleans, having a good time on this bachelorette journey. Like it's the same thing. And it's like, why can't a white woman watch Girls Trip and share understand the same moment, just as a Black girl can watch Bridesmaids and have the same type of moment, or a Black man can watch both and laugh out loud on both of them because it's just an American journey. It's American history. I never thought about how you just placed hip hop in that lexicon for me, because the way you just said it as a family, you know what I mean? Like, it's so true when you think about like the cliques and the crews. That's his family, right? That's his brotherhood, sisterhood, right? But then you bring in like the mom, and so I'm thinking about Mrs. Wallace, right? So I'm just thinking about like all those moments, like Diddy's mom, like, or the mom that we've had seen right publicly, and it is an American family. And I never thought about it like that, because hip hop is American. Like hip hop, as you know, is the most consumed genre of all genres, and we have the data that supports that. And so that is America. That is American.
American export. It's one of our biggest exports.
Yes.
It helps
it's imports, exports. It literally does. It's taxable, baby. Hip hop is taxable.
It's definitely taxable. I can speak on that. But let me add on, the crazy thing is that when me, my partner, Alex C., executive producer, Brian Grazer, and Method Man, when we was talking about making this into a series, because everybody want to make a hip hop movie. They saw Straight Outta Compton, and everybody wanted to get a chance to make this big blockbuster movie. I was developing this before that, right? But it just takes a long time. And of course, it took a long time for them to do theirs as well. But point being made, we said to ourselves, it's not just Wu-Tang. It's Wu-Tang and American Saga. And I think when we walked in those meetings and in the pitch meetings, and you got to kind of go through a whole process, I think that resonated, and with a great company like Hulu, who a lot of people say, well, Hulu don't have a lot of Black content, right? As they say, right? And Wu-Tang is that content, right? But I don't think that Wu-Tang is the Black content on Hulu, even though it's a Black ensemble cast. I think the executives also saw that log line, Wu-Tang and American Saga, because it incorporates so many things in one line. Even the word Wu-Tang alone, it invites in the Asian culture automatically.
It does.
You know what I mean? And American Saga, it invites in. And what we did telling this story, because Staten Island is really a microcosm of New York and of America. You'll notice in season 1, you see the Italian, you see the Latin brothers, you see the Asian sister who's walking around with the tape trying to get people. You see that all these people are part of our world and all growing up here in America.
Yeah.
It's a very big difference. And I love traveling the world. Hip hop has allowed me to travel the world, Mike. But the American experience is so big, brother. You know what I mean? And only here, I think we could have produced what we produced, which is hip hop culture and the Wu-Tang itself.
Well, I want to keep going with that a little bit because, you know, Bobby, my audience knows I'm very honest. I'm very transparent. I never perceived to be an expert in anything. And one thing, man, I got to be honest with you, Bobby, I got into Wu-Tang much later in my life. And that's kind of why I'm a little bit more drawn to you now, honestly, after watching episode 1. Well, before I go there, one, I want to say thank you for making this docu-series. I think that there's just too much of a story for Wu-Tang to be put into a 2-hour film. But I think 3-hour films now are just way too long for me personally, right? And so I'm glad that you're breaking up, because I think Wu-Tang Clan is so complex, it's so nuanced, and you guys all have your own individual storylines that are very beautiful in the tapestry of America. And so with that being said, I'm from the Midwest. And Bobby, I didn't know you spent so much time in Ohio. I'm from Michigan. And I always talk about, you know, I grew up as a West Coast dude first. I always say, I think Midwest people, we were free agents. I say that, you know, we could have went West Coast or we could have went East Coast hip hop. But like my first love was NWA, like Ice, like, you know, Snoop Dogg, Too Short. Like those are my first love. Like when I would go to Tower Records, Warehouse Records, I was buying West Coast hip hop before East Coast hip hop, because for me, I mean, the census has changed obviously, but it was very black or white in Michigan, right? We didn't have a strong Caribbean base. We didn't have all these other things from the diaspora. And so what you were rapping about and what a lot of other East Coast rappers about was so foreign to me, right? Like it wasn't my thing. Like I didn't understand wearing Timbs and shorts in the summer. Like that's hot to me. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't get it. But so seeing you in the Midwest, man, it blew me away. And you know, shout out to Dr. Joseph Radford now, who loves you guys at University of Michigan. He introduced me to you guys as freshmen, but I couldn't get into it. Right. I'm curious now. You're spending time in the Midwest. How did that inform you? Did that inform you in any way as you began to create music? I'm curious.
Well, you're right. I mean, during those days, you was right. It was actually being down in Ohio. West Coast music was dominating. A lot of guys had their Ice Cube hairstyles, but there was another artist named MC Breed. Yes,
MC Breed. Yeah. That was our dude, man. Yeah.
That was my dude too, though. I mean, he actually, even though he kind of maybe had funk samples, he had a balance aesthetically that kind of was the middle ground, right? But what informed me was that everything ain't New York. It informed me that New York is almost his own terminal. I would say it's a terminal. It also informed me that everything ain't West Coast, right? There was, during that period of time of me in Ohio, I actually met Mailman, Sam Snead. Yeah, yes. We was all kids because they from Pittsburgh.
What?
Yeah, they're from Pittsburgh. We all knew each other from then, and it was funny because the way that they produced was how they produced and how I was producing, and we would actually play beats to each other. You know what I mean? What? But the beauty of it is that I think the going to that middle ground in Ohio, as you notice, episode 1 starts off with a song called "Ferry Across the Mercy." Yep. Right?
Yep.
I chose that song because really there was, it really helped. It reminds me of the broadness of America, but also that song was sampled on a Wu-Tang song that was produced by one of my disciples called Fourth Disciple, who's from Ohio.
Yeah.
I mean, so even some of the Wu-Tang sound that we've grown to love, some of it is from, Fourth Disciple has at least 2 or 3 songs on the Wu-Tang Forever album. He's produced the Kill Army album. Point being made is that Wu-Tang was already incorporating more than just the sound of New York. It was incorporating the sound of youth of America. And then if you go further into our catalog, you'll see that, we have the West Coast Killer Bees, you know what I mean? So anyway, all beautiful. Ohio was a big moment for me in my life. That's why I make one disclaimer real quick. I know I got to rush. When I first got to Ohio, though, I didn't go there for trouble. I first went there, and I met people that was into Black culture, studying Malcolm X. We used to always meet at the library, and we would all bring books and try to just enlighten our minds, right? And that was maybe a few years before we showed the show. When I went back during the show, it was after I was already tainted by street life in New York, and I actually brought that negative energy there with me, and it picked a whole web of negativity. And fortunately, my mother, who was already purifying herself and praying every day, she was able to inspire me to turn back to righteousness. Just wanted to say that. I know we showed some of that in the show, but I just want to say it out loud because some people may think, oh, you just went to Ohio for trouble. No, Ohio, you know, it's having something on a license plate, I think. Beyond the Buckeye State, it says Ohio is the heart of our country. You know what I mean? And it's something about that I want. Anyway, I pass you the mic back. Sorry.
No, man. Thank you. That's so beautiful, Bobby. You know, I'm a University of Michigan guy, so we hate Ohio State, anything Buckeye related, but I see what you're saying. Like, we normally hate everything south of Michigan, but because it's you, Bobby, I'll give you an exception to that one, to what you're saying. I'll be the bigger person here, right?
Okay.
But I know we have to go, we have to wrap. I just hope you'll come back. I think there's so much more for us to unpack. I just love being in conversation with you. I love how you think. You're so brilliant in how you think about it. I just think that I'm just happy you brought from a Midwest dude who, I mean, I live in New York, Bobby, but I'm a Midwest boy through and through. I love a drive-through. You know what I mean? I love my combo meals. You know what I mean? And so, like, the Midwest for me is everything. And so I'm just so glad that
you had Hardee's in Detroit. You had Hardee's.
We have Hardee's, we have McDonald's, Wendy's, we got Rallies. We have
Rallies.
Yeah, any drive-through you can think of, we have it in the Midwest now. But for you to bring the Midwest and Midwest rap and how Midwest helped shape you, man, it just means so much to me because I feel we get so overlooked so much. And to figure our contribution to hip hop, man. So I just want to say thank you for that. I just want to shout out, I would be remiss, Bobby, if I didn't shout out Kalila Baltimore, Sharon Man, Stacey Baltimore, because they helped me see you guys differently with Butter Pecan. Senior year, they wore French vanilla, butter pecan, and chocolate vanilla, because they were white, black, like, and they had this whole thing going. They're a little true, man. But I just want to shout them out and shout you out, Bobby. Thank you, man. We got to do this again. This is very cool. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I'm sorry, I forgot I have a show to do. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in to Wu-Tang, an American Saga on Hulu. It is streaming now, and you can tell by the conversation, you won't be disappointed. You will get hooked in episode 1 and season 2. I mean, it's really amazing who these gentlemen are and what they have dealt with and the nuance of them. And I'm actually understanding Wu-Tang much more better. And I have even much more appreciation for you guys, Bobby.
Thank you, Mike. Respect to you. Peace.
All right. Let's do this again, Bobby. Peace.